When I dropped out of school, I had friends that were still going to, for example, Godwin and Michael were still actively going to school. It hurts me so much. You start to feel like a failure. I made a conscious decision to drop out. Not because I did not like school per se anymore, just because I could not continue because of financial reasons. I started feeling like I probably made the wrong decision when I saw that others were ahead of me, people were graduating, and
I think you were put in a position to try everything you could out of a situation that you're living.
yeah, actually, when I dropped out of school, it was like my back was against the wall. You understand? Like, I couldn't possibly fall deeper than this. So why not climb?
I think you're the first black, not even young black, but first black
to own a school.
It's own a school.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Because I did not graduate, I need to work twice as hard to prove myself.
What will you say was the lesson you learned along all this journey? First of all, thank you for showing up. You're somebody I admire a lot, respect. I think we've been friends for how many years? 4 years?
4
years.
5.
5 years. Yeah. And it's been an amazing journey. I think I've seen you go through some rough patches, and it's crazy. It's crazy because I mean, look at where you are.
Look at where I am. I'm doing a podcast.
You're my podcast.
I'm doing a podcast. Normally, I think that the people that attend podcasts, or the people that people interview, are people that have succeeded and I probably made $1 billion or invented something special. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've done any of those.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think with your age, you've done pretty good, and I think the world deserves to know your journey. I think which is why you are here. I think I remember when I first met you physically. That was 2020, right? And you were also, I think you were building your first startup, Supwork.
Yeah.
And I was very intrigued, like, this is so audacious. In an island like Cyprus where so many things are still lacking, right? And also a place filled with students that need a lot of help, right? Back 4 years ago, your vision was to find a way to, empower these young people, right? So could you just share a little bit about why Supwork? What happened?
Thing is, Supwork was not an idea that just dropped from heaven above, right? It was a result of some things that happened in my life while in school. I came to Cyprus in 2015 to study architecture, actually, and I studied architecture for about 2 years, and then I had to drop out, not because I did not like school per se anymore, just because I could not continue because of financial reasons. Right, so at the time I dropped out, I started a cleaning business for house cleaning. KHC, you would remember, Michael and Godwin were also workers in KHC. Yeah, they were cleaners with me. We're cleaning houses. Right, I remember then, we'd get gigs every day, and we'd go out to go and clean houses, we wash toilets for people, our own peers and mates, right? And we did it without any any remorse. We did it religiously, all right, because we knew what we're looking for. Then it got to a time. Now, architecture is a very demanding course in terms of both the monetary aspect and the time aspect. Right, you have to spend a lot of time on your projects in architecture. So I started to miss classes for weeks. I would miss classes just because I had cleaning gigs back to back to back. So I started to decline academically. Now, in my first few semesters in the Department of Architecture, I had always get these certificates from the dean, certificate of high honors. They give it every semester. So every semester I got that certificate, and usually sometimes I'd be the only one in my department to get that certificate. So, but then when I started doing the cleaning, I stopped getting a certificate. I could not get certificate anymore. Then one day I just decided, what, I'm just going to stop school because, well, at that particular moment, I couldn't see beyond that like I could not see beyond what was, or I could not see what was beyond the graduation, right? If I were going to graduate, I could not see what was beyond it. But the cleaning gave me something to look forward to, right? Scalability. You can actually scale a cleaning business. Okay, so I know something can happen tomorrow or next tomorrow. Fuck it, I can have a plan for something, for the next 2 years. So I decided to pick a cleaning over school. I remember that day I got home and I called my mom and I told her that, look, I've decided I'm going to stop school. And then, funny enough, she's Nigerian, by the way. Funny enough, she told me, look, if that's what will make you happy, then okay. And that's how I dropped out of school. Yeah.
I'm very surprised.
That's why I said funny enough, she's Nigerian.
She's not saying, Victor, Jesus.
No. So, and that gave me the strength to to carry on, to know that okay, somebody is at my back. My mom was at my back. Now it was not easy, of course, because I saw all my other mates going to school. Now before I dropped that, actually I started doing projects for people in my department. Now normally after exams, architecture students still had 2 weeks to do their projects, while at the end of the second week they'd have a jury where there'd be a panel to critique projects. Now, normally you'd be given 2 weeks to do your project. I will take projects from 4 other people. I will complete their projects, 4 projects in 1 week, and then use the second week to do my project. So I get paid from them. But of course, that is also very demanding. I fell sick so many times because of that. So that's before I started the cleaning, and then I dropped out of school. Now, when I did that, I was still cleaning. I was getting gigs and jobs and requests. And then I remember I employed 2 people, 2 ladies to do the cleaning. So I'd get the calls and I'd send my employees or my workers. They were getting paid. And that made me very happy that, being someone who at some time in Cyprus was looking for a job, I can actually give out jobs myself. And then the question was now, okay, how do I scale this? Right? How do I make it so that any student who probably was in the same predicament as I was could actually get a job, right? And then I was like, okay, from my understanding and things I've seen, you can do that with a piece of software. So I decided to learn how to code. I remember then I did not have a laptop, so I would go to the library in CIU to learn HTML and CSS. I was using the computers in the CIU library to learn. And then I picked up Python, all right, and then I put a team together that consisted of Abdul. That was when Abdul came to Cyprus, and then we started building Softwork. We wanted to build a mobile app, but it did not work out for some reason. And then I thought, why don't we build it over WhatsApp, right? Because I remember then there was the WhatsApp API, although the WhatsApp API was not public then, it was private. But we were able to get access to the WhatsApp API through Twilio, right? And then we built the first version of Softwork, where as a student, you can register on the website. So if there's any cleaning request within a specific mile radius, from you, within a set proximity, you'd get the cleaning request. And then you get it on your phone. In fact, you could be in class and you just get a request on your phone that somebody needs a cleaning somewhere, and you can accept the request, So any student who was signed up on Softwork could get gigs, could get jobs and, and go clean and, and make their money. That was how I got to start Softwork. Then, of course, there weren't much tech startups then. Tech was not a very common thing then. So that made it very hard because there wasn't a community then that you could rely on. But then my problem was not the community. My concern was putting out a product, and I focused on putting out a product, and we put out a product, and it worked. 2 days or 3 days after launch, we had 400 plus workers on Softwork, and we're getting gigs. The system was working until things have to come to an end eventually, and that came to an end at some point later.
So during that period, I remember, I think when I came to the island, you were actively working on Softwork, right? I don't know if I came when you were about to launch or when you already launched, but I know when I met you were still on the project. And I remember seeing you reading a lot of books then. I think it's even the reason why now I read a lot, but I wasn't tech focused reading. It was when I met you. So I started now diving into that angle. So what happened?
About the reading. Now, when I dropped out of school, I had friends that were still going to, for example, Godwin and Michael were still actively going to school. It hurts me so much. Like you can't possibly fathom the type of hurt that you feel when you stopped going to school. You start to feel like a failure in life, which I actually felt like a failure in life. I felt that every other person was ahead of me in life. You understand? It was very painful, and it was a very depressing time. I made a conscious decision to drop out, although there were some factors that were beyond my control, but it was a conscious decision nonetheless to drop out, because I could have still found a way to borrow money to pay my school fees and all, but I made a decision. But I started feeling like I probably made the wrong decision when I saw that others were ahead of me, people were graduating and all. So I felt, okay, you know what? Instead of beating myself down, why don't I try to keep up the pace? Even outside the four-wall school system, I could as well still, keep up the pace in terms of educating myself, right? And that's when I started to read books. I was like, okay, if I'm not going to graduate or get a certificate, I might as well get the knowledge, so that, I can still be on par with my peers, if not, if not on paper, then, in terms of how intelligent we all are. And, that's why I started.
Because that's also what triggered me to also start reading too. I failed my jam. I had 1 year, and I'm like, it's the same decision, I can be useless to myself, or I can find another way to close up the gap. That's very interesting. Let me ask you a question, right? After Sopok, how many more businesses did you try? And what did you learn along that journey? Right? Because I'm saying this because we're living in a place where so many people are going through exactly what you went through. Like big time.
Yeah.
All right. And right now, as you said, it's now more common. People are trying to start up stuff. Right? How many did you try before you saw your light? And what will you say was the lesson you learned along all this journey?
Thing is, for Swapwork, I realized that we tend to overcomplicate things in the beginning, actually. So now, thing is, especially if you're somebody who has somebody you admire, say you watch business documentaries. I watch a lot of business documentaries. I love documentaries. So I watch a lot of business documentaries. For example, I watched a documentary on BlackBerry, and this and that. I watched a documentary of the 2008 housing bubble, right? And because I have people I look up to, people I want to be, you want to be them right now. So we tend to overcomplicate things in the beginning, and that's created a lot of problems for me in the beginning of Subwork, where I incorporated a company, I gave out equity in the beginning, I shared equity, we did all this, which right now, if I were to do it all over again, I would not do, right? Because
you won't give out equity.
Yeah, no, I would not give out equity early on, like the way I did.
Okay.
Because that created a lot of problems. That came with its own problems.
You've done a SAFE.
Well, no. I mean, a SAFE is an agreement between investor and startup. But what
Sorry,
I would have
vesting. You'll have vested.
Yeah, yes, you would have vested, but I don't think vesting would have solved those problems actually.
It wouldn't?
Yeah, because then early on in the startup, we did not actually know the extent to which each individual was contributing to the success of the startup. We just knew, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this. Sure. The intensity was something we did not know anything about. So we already split equity. Mm-hmm. Now, going into the startup, it got to a time where someone would be like, I'm doing more work. Let's revise the equity split. Okay, now this is not a problem because we already split equity in the beginning. So if I were to do it again, I would not split equity in the beginning. Although
equity based on the inputs.
Yes, although my co-founders, I probably would have an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, that at some point in time we're going to split equity, and the equity we're going to split will be determined by, like, we'll come together to determine based on the work we've done, because based on the work we've done, we can determine the work we're going to do.
But who decides how much work was done by who and how?
Well, that's why you have to work with people that you
do even need to have this conversation in the first place with.
Yes, exactly. You don't like people who know, people who just know.
Yeah.
For example, in VOB right now, initially I was the sole owner of. I owned 100% of the company because I was the main financier. I was the idea guy. Although I was not the main engineer, but my current co-founders were initially employees. They were employees where I was paying salary, and then at some point in time they stopped behaving like employees. They started acting like founders. You understand? And I saw that. I was like, okay, these people deserve equity. They need to own equity.
Let me ask you a question. Also, in a situation where you were the idea guy, and then you assembled a team, right? When we started a group, we were just moving, right? We didn't incorporate the company until I think last year, and we already made a lot of progress by that period, and it was clear too. Okay, as in I thought, the truth is everyone knows who puts the effort. Everyone knows all these things. It's just that everybody still wants to move with the idea of equality, right? And the reason is simple. If we all don't think we are equal, we all would not be as equally motivated, right? And no matter how much work everybody puts, somebody is just going to work more than the other, or somebody will just have it. Somebody will just be that one that just thinks of things quicker, faster. Everybody just knows that this person is the person we look up to directors.
Yeah.
Now, when we sat down on that round table for the first time, it was a bloodbath. These people I love, I cherish. It was a bloodbath because I was I pushed that meeting for months because I was so uncomfortable having that kind of conversation.
I think I remember. I was telling you. I think I remember there were a couple of times you came to my house.
Yeah, and I asked
we're looking into cap tables.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, you need to do that right now. You need to do that shit right now.
When we started at the center table, and because I didn't want to just come and say, oh, this pen I deserve more, this pen I deserve more. I just did, and I about to bring a Y Combinator calculator. I think it's you that even showed me that stuff.
I showed you the calculator.
And when we did it, the results were so bad.
It was not a wise calculator. It was another calculator for calculating equity split on a calculator.
But the result was so terrible that everybody just silent for a while. And then when we proceeded to talk about it, the argument just erupted. Eventually, we got to some conclusion. But this was what I realized. When it comes to negotiating, even when it comes down to equity, nobody leaves the table satisfied, no matter what's
one of the persons I admire the most said something one time. He said that nobody leaves the negotiating table happy. Nobody leaves the negotiating. And these are compromises we have to make. By the way, compromise is a word I take very lightly here because I hate compromises actually, but once in a while these are some of the compromises you have to make. Now, you said something about equality. Now, equality is very different from equity because some people might misconstrue that and say that you are sharing equity, so you want to share something equally, right? Now, I think in terms of business and startup funding, equality is an illusion. It's a very very nasty illusion in the beginning where you feel okay, we are starting a business together, let's share, let's be equal. It's 50-50. No, it cannot be 50-50. If you ever do something 50-50, then somebody is getting the lower end of the
somebody has lost.
Somebody's at a loss somewhere. And then it now takes you as partners, as venture partners, to come together and decide for yourself what formula or algorithm you would use to. And initially, when I did equity split in Sopok, I used the scorecard method to do the equity split in Sopok. And what was the? Actually, I cannot remember again, but I just remember the name. It was scorecard method.
Okay.
Now, but eventually, we still had to revise equity like 3 times in Sopok. We revised equity 3 times.
How was that conversion like? Hello.
It was different because now, yes, I have to I'll call them. Look, we have to revise this equity because it gets to a time in the startup you feel like you are doing more, or somebody else feels they are doing.
But then
more.
That can change the spirit of the team.
Yes, that's why a lot of startups fail.
Yeah.
And my own startup also could fail. Although my startup did not fail because of
equity splitting.
Because of equity. It's failed because of something else. We had a deal with a third party. We had a distribution and administration agreement for the territory of Cyprus because of an EU funding we're taking part in. It was 60,000 euros funding. So we had translated the product to Turkish, and we're entering the local market. And then I don't know what happened after the funding. The funding grant, it was a grant. I don't know what happened after that, but we did not hear from the third parties anymore. I think they took the grant and they left. That was why we stopped support. Like that was a very big blow.
Let me ask you a question. With founders, right? I'm sure your companies will see you. And as you said, equality is an illusion. But then, in as much as no matter how intelligent we are, we know that this is not an equality journey.
Yeah.
Right? One person has to be the decision maker eventually. Right? Now the question is, when you have founders that believe since we are equal, we need to make the decisions equally. What happens in the situation whereby you have 3 founders? And one is CEO, he owns more of the company. But then the CEO says, I think we should do this. The remaining 2 says, I disagree.
Okay, look, for all the startups I've founded, I always set something in the beginning. Like in the beginning, I always set this culture. No, you can't veto. Oh, yes, of course I have veto, but I'm not a tyrant, or I don't know, I'm not a tyrant. But the thing is that I think in the beginning with your founders, you need to set this culture where, I don't know, I've said it so many times that I have, the culture in all my companies has been that the company is always an ideas, skills, and potentials meritocratic organization with decision makers on every level, right? So even if you have 3 founders, say you have a CEO, a CTO, and a COO, the CEO should be your final decision maker in matters that affect the whole organization. Say funding, how you spend money, the hiring and all. The CTO should be the final decision maker in terms of the technology, and then the CEO should be the final decision maker in terms of general operations. Now, I tell my founders, and they know involved, right? They are final decision makers in every level right now. There are some decisions. I have someone working with me. Her name is Angela. She's one of the best people I've ever worked with in my life. She's the VP of our Atlas program, and she's the final decision maker in Atlas. I'm the CEO, but Angela can tell me, Victor, we're not going to do that. And I need to be able to suppress my ego for the betterment of the company. That's something that is very important, and I have to do that a lot. As a CEO, you have to learn to do that. And I say, what? Okay, Angela, you're the final decision maker.
What if deeply you don't agree?
Okay, then you veto it.
Okay.
Okay. But they probably
know that. Okay, this is a
yes. But the thing is that you almost will not come to that point if you trust the person you're working with to be able to make the right decisions for the company. You probably will never come to that. Like, for example, I've never come to a point where I have to veto anything involved because I trust the people I'm working with, and I believe them so much, and and they carry the company at heart, was almost on the same level that I do. So I trust every decision they make. Although whenever there's a decision that's been made, I can actually counter it. The fact that you're a decision maker does not give you room to be a tyrant, or give room for totalitarianism. No. You should, now, if you're going to make final decisions, you're not making final decisions on impulses. You are making final decisions by getting together data and getting together contributions from other stakeholders. So when there's a decision to be made, we give our contributions, and then there's a final decision maker that says, okay, this is what we are going to go with. Everybody would have given their contribution. Now, the final decision maker is working on the general input. Now, it's not voting. I hate votes. Like, that's something that you need to put out of the organization. Voting is coming to a compromise when you look at it, actually. Yeah. If you are voting on a matter in your organization, then you are coming to a compromise.
And aside even compromise, it's also if it affects the culture.
Yes.
So what happens is that people now will be trying to create.
Yeah, there will be this lobby going on also in the organization. It brings in this workplace politics, bureaucracy into the whole thing that if you're voting, you're compromising, because the compromise is in the decision that has the highest amount of people that want to do it. It might not be the right decision. Voting is just based on, because more people want it. It does not matter whether or not it's what is right or what is best. It just matter that more people want it. And that's a compromise that I don't accept in any of my organizations. In my organizations, we contribute. Oh, I think we should do this because of this, because of this. I think we should do this because of this, because of this. And then there's a final decision maker who says, okay, we are going to do this. Now, the final decision maker is now held accountable for, what comes out of that decision, because you are the final decision maker now. Because something that every organization also needs is accountability. Because if you're voting, then who is held accountable for, for what happens? Who is punished or who is rewarded? You understand, for for the decision that is being is being made. But if you have a final decision maker, there's somebody to punish or somebody to reward, right? It's very, it makes things easy. You know that, okay, this is the person we're going to fire you. But when it's a vote, who do you fire? You understand? So it's it's important that such a culture is is set up in the very beginning, so that all the founders know that this is where my power is, and I make the decisions here. I make the decisions here, and everybody respects each other's decision making.
That's beautiful.
Power.
So let's get personal now. I know your dad is lit, right?
Sorry,
your dad is lit.
Yes.
When did he?
My father died in 2012. I think I was 14 years old when he passed away.
And I know after that period, things just went down.
Oh, things went downhill. Downhill.
Who was your father to you?
Actually, no one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no. Thing is, look, for the sake of paternal connections, I love my dad. I loved my dad, although I did not know him so well or so much. He's somebody that always had to work, so he was never at home. Right? Actually, you'll be surprised to hear that I don't have a picture with my dad. Even while I was alive, I never had a picture with I don't have a picture with me and my dad standing side by side. I don't know. Such a photo does not exist. So he was never around. But now, the thing is, he was never around, but we did not, lack anything or need or want for anything. And that makes me, it makes me actually happy to some extent that while he was alive, he devoted his time and his life to working, even while that meant that he had to be far away from his family. So much so that when I heard about his passing, I was actually in school. I was in the hostel. I was writing exams. So he had died about 3 days before I was told that he was dead, because I was writing exams. He died the day we started our exams, so the school did not inform me and my twin sister. They allowed us to finish the exams. On the day we finished the exams, I was in the hostel, because after exams we're going to go on vacation 2 weeks later. So I was in the hostel, exams are over, rugged, everybody, Yeah. Then the housemaster called me, Victor, the proprietress is waiting for you downstairs. Now the proprietress never calls me. This is something that never happens. I was like, what happened? Am I in trouble? They said, wear your clothes, pack your things, and wear your clothes and meet her downstairs. They said they are taking us home. And, we traveled from the school. My school was very far away, so I was staying in the hostel. We traveled back home. And that's where I got to find out that he was dead. After that, there was no father figure for me. And, it makes me worried to some extent that, because I don't have this person who has taught me how to be a father or how to be a man, so to say, that I might not be able to,
Do you think if he was alive, things would be different from how you are?
Very different. Things would definitely be.
Do you think
you
you've ever studied in startups?
No, I would not have started a startup, because if he was alive, I would have graduated architecture. I would have gotten a job as an architect. Probably I would have done my master's somewhere, because he was somebody that was very
big on education.
Very big on education. Particularly, so my father called, throughout his lifetime, he called me just one time on the phone. That's only one time that my father called my phone. And the one time he called my phone, he called me to define economics. He called me. He called me and told me, I'm telling you, can you define economics? And then I defined economics. And then he,
So Victor, what is economics?
And then he correct. I don't remember the definition of economics. I don't remember the definition of economics.
Your dad was ashamed of you.
But I think, yes, my dad will be ashamed of me. But well, it's not yet to be ashamed now. I don't remember the definition. No, I don't remember the textbook definition of economics. I just know that that particular definition was coined by Lionel or something. But I know that economics is the study of supply, demand, and scarcity, basically.
But But I think you are naturally good at economics.
Yes, actually.
You like supply, demand.
Yeah,
Or it's in economics.
I've panned out is that, as we've discussed recently, I want to go into private equity. Right. I've had a couple of investments. I invested $11,000 in a startup in Cyprus. It's doing well. The contract was nice. And the thing is that I was able to do this investment because of the books I've read, things I've learned, right?
Not the school you went to.
Yeah, not the school I went to, actually.
You said school is a scam.
School is not a scam.
So what is school?
Well, school is just an institution that is supposed to dish out education. There's a difference between school and education. School is an institution. Education is what is passed across, what is supposed to be passed.
You think what is passed across to this reasonable enough for someone to spend their 4 years?
I think what is being passed across, and this might depend on the department, right? What is being passed across right now was at some point very useful, right? Because the things we know right now and the things that keep the wheel of the whole world moving are things that had been learned and things that had been taught to people some time back. But I think, well, I would say, by the way, that school is currently unable to, or some schools are unable to keep up with the pace of the world of innovation, such that the subjects that are still being taught right now are so outdated that they become very much irrelevant to you in the grand scheme of things when you go into the labor market. That might be an area where you'd say that school is a scam, but no, that does not.
We say school is not a scam, but school is failing.
Yes, I would say school is failing to an extent. Actually, well, personally, school failed me. Actually, I say that because now I liked architecture. All right, and the reason why I liked architecture is because I'm someone who like to build. Like I like to see my imaginations come to life. I like to create something. Architecture was perfect because architecture is one of the few fields where you get to see your imagination.
Come to life.
Yeah. So when we were doing architecture, I remember my first class in basic design in architecture. We asked to design based. So there's this concept in architecture where you have form, you have function, and you have feeling. So basically, the form of your design, the function, and what the user feels, just like UX. All right, if you think about it in terms of tech. Now, my feeling was fear, so I was to design fear. Now, in architecture, you can think of brutalist style of design. I don't know if you know about brutalism. If you see a building, there are a lot of brutalist buildings in Unilag.
I think you explained to me one time, like how.
Yeah, there are a lot of brutalist buildings in Unilag where you have this concrete structure.
Yeah.
Those are brutalist. So those are actually supposed to impose fear, right? That style of design came during the post-war era, post-World War II. That's when brutalism came into all, became more widely accepted. Now, but I did not design a brutalist structure. I designed a structure that was made from claw. So literally I designed a building that was like claw marks on the floor. And then my teacher then looked at it and I was like, Victor, this is not what you're supposed to design. And that's caught me because he said, this is not what you are supposed to design. And I was like, and I felt okay, but this is what I want to design. This is how I feel, and this is what I want to put into the world as my own design. Now, along the line in architecture, like I said, we have projects, and there's a jury, there's a panel that critique your project. What I realized is when we have projects, you're given an assignment to go design a building that's supposed to have X amount of functions, X amount of bedrooms, and this and that. You design. When you submit for criticism, the panel actually before the actual panel, your teacher makes corrections or she changes it. What I realize is along the line, the project becomes the teacher's own project. It becomes the teacher's idea. You understand? He has erased so much of your authenticity out of it that it now becomes its own. And I hated that so much.
So it's funny, it's like after 4 years, you don't realize, but a lot about who you really are.
Yes, has been removed, has been erased, has been corrected with red pen. And I hated that so much.
I know one of the things that scared me a lot about school when I began to realize it was how much of yourself that goes away and how much of what the teacher is begins to become who you are, right? And in school then, especially secondary school, I had a lot of um students that were very smart,
Yeah.
but they were smart and well behaved according to what the teachers thought smart and well behaved was. And the funny thing is, when we now left school, many of those quote unquote smart students did not perform as well as some just basic average students.
Yeah.
And I think the reason was because there's a lot of dishonest way that school approaches things, that the average ones that are just they still tend to kind of feel a sense of who they really are. So when they go out of school, they pursue the things that really calls them.
Yep.
And then these other guys, they just keep looking for where next can I fit myself into to that's crazy.
So
to me.
thing is, I'm somebody that I've never liked to be confined by
Rules.
by rules. Not that I like to perform illegal activities, you understand, but still there are some rules that just don't make sense, that I just don't want to be confined by. Right. In school, there are people who spend their whole time and energy. This, this can be very rewarding, by the way, if you want to pursue something academia. All right, this can be very rewarding. There are people who spend their whole time studying and stuff, and there are some people who spend their whole time just trying to learn how the world works, because what you study in school isn't necessarily what you meet out there in the in the labor market. In fact, you might actually start to realize that you are just wasted your whole time. Not that it isn't important. It's itself. School is I would say school is important. But look, let's take for example my high school. I don't think there's anything I've learned in my high school that I've ever had to use in my in my whole entire years. I don't think there's anything. No, mind you, I don't think there's anything I have learned. I did not say I don't think there's anything that has been taught. Because of course there are important things that have been taught, but I don't think there's anything that has entered my head in high school that I've ever had to use. Because so the only thing high school taught me, actually, because I was in the hostel, the only thing high school taught me was survival. Actually, I can say that anyway, that because I went to this high school and I stayed in the hostel,
Nigerian
I learned survival. I learned that from school, and I think that's the only thing I was able to take out of school that has helped me in life. Because trust me, you have to survive. Especially if you're staying in the hostel, you do have to survive. Right. So school has its own it has its own advantage. I think we are just left as individuals to make our own personal decisions about what we are going to take out of it, and just enjoy the ride as we as we go. Yeah.
This is even to a quote that really has stuck with me for years, that says potential does not exist until you realize it. Let me ask you a question. Will you say you have found your purpose?
I don't know, but look, I just know that we live so far below the we live so far below the possibilities in ourselves that when we are set free from the things that hamper us, so that we merely attain the potentials in ourselves, we seem to have been entirely transfigured. Like we seem to have been changed, and we are a new person. I don't think I've gotten there yet. I was telling you earlier that I've not reached my prime yet. You passed your prime, but I've not reached my prime.
The reason why I asked was because I have lived a long time. I think TDJX had this book called Destiny, right? And in that book, that was the definition of destiny that stuck in my brain. And I think I read that book in 2015, 2016. And TDJX defined destiny as a push of one's instincts to the pull of one's purpose. And essentially, when I started, because at the point in my life, I was asking, what's my purpose in life? I've achieved my purpose. And then it struck me one day to realize that your purpose is not something you find. It's something that it calls you, and then you live it out. And then you live it out by harnessing your potential. That thing that just comes naturally to you by every day, carrying the heaviest load that is possible. and you just begin to realize that something just keeps dragging. You just keep and things just keep unfolding and keep making sense. Do you know why I said that? Because when I came 4 years ago to the island and I watched you, one thing that I realized was you were consistently always pushing against the boundaries of what your potential was. You're always reading more books, trying, testing, learning, and you might not have gotten that degree, but what happened was you got something much more. You found yourself in that process, and with that power, you were able to do more and more and more, and it led you to a lot of places, right? And it also kind of reconstructed how you even came about your life choices, right? Like I remember when you met Marvin, you told me one day you were like, "I'm going to get married." God, bro, that thing blew my brain off because that was the last thing I ever expected. And you know, on the ride back home, I just kept thinking. I was like, what got this man to the point where he just felt like, I think marriage is something I should do. I really believe that if you went 4 years in school, you won't be thinking of marriage the way you thought about it. I think that for everyone listening to this podcast out there, they have to realize something, is that you need to do what you can to make sure that you build yourself. You try everything you can. I think you were put in a position to try everything you could out of a situation that you're given.
Yeah, actually, when I dropped out of school, it was like my back was against the wall. You understand? Like it felt like I couldn't possibly fall deeper than this. So why not climb? If I fall, I'm still going to land here. So I'm going to climb. So that was done. Every I told, I don't know if it was about telling someone one thing, that the reason why I had to, read the way I read, and, yes, my life did change because I started to take things more seriously. I started to take life more seriously. I don't go out, I don't go to clubs, I'm here, I'm watching a business documentary, or, I'm reading something, I'm researching something. My wife actually complains about this, that Victor, you're always reading, but you're not listening to me because I'm always, I'm always reading something, because I have this innate need to, I don't know if it's a need, but I just feel like because I did not graduate, and this is a personal feeling, this is not something that is true for everyone. I feel like because I did not graduate, I need to work twice as hard to prove myself, to prove my worth, right? And that is what has actually held me, and made me do the things I have done, because I felt I needed to work twice as hard. Now, while school might not be what will make you the person you want to be, school or the certificates you would get actually will take you to or will open doors that that ordinarily would not open. But certificate will not keep you in the room, by the way. What keeps you in the room is what you know. Right? So there's so many doors that, okay, for example, now I love private equity. I've read a lot of business books. I've read private equity handbook and playbook. I'm currently reading, you saw in my house, I'm currently reading the story of Steven Schwarzman, the founder of Blackstone, one of the biggest private equity firms in the US. I've researched a lot of private equity. I want to go into private equity and have knowledge in investment banking, right? But so I was looking up internships in Blackstone, because I really admire Blackstone. I was looking up internships in I don't need that. I just felt, okay, this might be very good for my for my portfolio. And then you actually need to be actively enrolled in a college or university to get. I know that given the things I've done, the investments I've made, and the things I've done, investments I've made, I probably will get into a Blackstone internship. But the door did not open because of the lack of certificates. So while school might not be the Hail Mary, the certificate will we open.
A lot of people say consider it as necessary.
Yes, actually, yes. A lot of people, and that's how the world works, because certificate is that proof that you've been there. You've gone through what is necessary, or you've gone through the bare minimum. Actually, that is what certificate is, and that it will open doors for you. But it's not.
I think it makes sense that a part of this world wants to know that, in as much as the outliers are not confined by rules, but a part of this world wants to know that you can still obey rules.
Yes.
And maybe school actually helps.
Yeah.
Helps.
Yes.
Crazy.
But actually, then there is a very contrarian view, because the Thiel Fellowship of Peter Thiel,
Yeah,
his fellowship. He specifically goes after Harvard dropouts into his fellowship. So that's a contrarian view. There, some people actually go through, or some people actually pursue people that decided to be outliers and anomalies in this, in this whole in this whole
Victor,
regard.
speaking of private equity, what is your reason? I'm hoping there's some good you're trying to do to this world. And it's not about making money. Or trying to be great.
I want to make some money. No, look. So, thing is, let's come back to that call I had with my dad, where he asked me to define economics. I never thought that. That I got an admission to study economics.
Yes, sir.
Right. So,
Are you still going?
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to go.
So bad.
It sounded like a
I'm
good
about to be
idea.
a master degree holder. You can't even.
I mean, congratulations to you. My wife is a professor.
I remember when I first graduated from undergrad. Remember we had our dinner, and you were just at the corner of the table, and everybody was saying one nice thing about Jerry. I reached your turn, and you reached your turn, and you were like, Jerry. To be honest, I'm happy for you, but I know that. I know you know that me and you know that this doesn't mean shit. The point that my pastor was there, and she was like, "What? Your what? My pastor."
Oh,
Did you look at me like what? And he's like, and then one other thing, it makes me laugh because I still have the video on my phone.
I have to tell you the truth, of course, because I mean, I saw the path you were going. We're almost going the same path, with Stranad and all.
Okay.
And this does not mean jack shit. I mean, congratulations, all the same. All right. Then I got an admission to study economics. At some point in time, it sounded like a good idea, and I wanted to follow through. But I'm very busy. I did not think I'd ever be able to devote the time. So I said I was not going to resume. And my wife is a professor. She's a lecturer in 3 universities. She's an academia. Yeah, she's an academia. She's an academician, and all. But about economics, in order to be successful in private equity, you need to have some level of, or you need to know economics to some extent and finance, right? So I started to think maybe my father was right all along. Because he wanted me to study economics, and
Is there a reason why?
because it was an economics. It was an economist himself. It was an assistant director for supply and finance at NDDC, and he studied economics. He graduated from University of Benin in economics. So he wanted me to study economics, just like how my mother wanted me to study medicine. So everybody has their own reasons. But now the way my life is moving, I started to think about that. I probably should have listened to him and studied economics, because I want to go into private equity. I love private equity. My life has moved me to a position where I'm able to buy businesses and or invest in businesses, and I want to do it big. I don't want to, I think anything that is worth doing is worth doing, not only worth doing well, but worth doing big.
Yeah.
Right. So, I incorporated the company in Nigeria for a reason. Incorporated the company in Nigeria, invested in a startup, which is doing awesome, by the way. And then, I have a roadmap. I have plans. If I'm unable to go back to study economics, then I'll definitely employ people that know economics to work with me, and so that I don't have to study. I don't have to study economics myself, right?
Let's talk about your school. Right? How did it happen? I think you're the first black, not even young black, but first black
to own a school.
to own a school.
Yes.
How did that happen?
First of all, and this needs to be very clear. This needs to be
Very clear. This was not my idea.
This was not my idea. I need to shout that into the microphone. That the school was not my idea, and I tell everybody this, that it was not my idea. But it's not about the idea; it's about the execution,
Yeah,
right? But the school was not my idea. The school was an idea of one of my friend, He told me one time that, Victor, I think we should start a school. I did not take it serious then, but he followed it up, and I was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to follow it up for you. And I brought in a partner, I brought in another partner, and then things did not pan out well with that arrangement. And then I moved out of the partnership to form the school elsewhere, which then succeeded. So I stepped out of the partnership to go and form the school myself. It succeeded, and the one that we were working on together did not succeed. But the reason why I stepped out of that partnership was because I could already see the pitfall from a mile away. That okay, this is not going to work. There's a pitfall ahead, and that brings me back to the topic of don't split equity in the beginning, because then we split. We had a split in the beginning also, and then things were it was just a shit show. To say the least. So that did not work out. Right. And so I remember I met one of my then friends, now partner, and then I told him I'm not happy. Then I was not happy because you're trying to build something and things are falling apart, lines are not falling in pleasant places. Right. So I remember I told him I was sad. He saw me. And then he asked me, Victor, what do you want? By the way, this is the closest thing to a father figure that I've had.
For real?
Yes.
Really?
He's the closest. Yes, he's the closest thing to a father figure that I have, or that I have felt like I had. The closest thing.
How old is Goven?
40 something.
I think I should bring him on this podcast.
I think 46. I don't know. I don't know if it's 40. So then he asked me, Victor. By the way, now it's very much important to actually explain why Goven was willing to do that with me and for me. I got a gig. I got a job somewhere at a distributions company, the largest distributors of electronics in Cyprus. I was technical consultant with somebody. Then he left. Then I became technical consultant. I took it, and then I was working. It was paying me a very good amount of money per month. I'm not going to mention the figure, but it was paying a very good amount of money per month. Then I remember one time there was this. It was during Corona. There was this mobile app that was very popular, Mr. Order. Yeah. Very popular. I saw Mr. Order everywhere. And I was like, I need to get to know the owner of Mr. Order. I need to get to know. Then the CEO of the distributions company, that was Blosel, was a very good friend of mine also. And then I met him. I asked him, do you know the owner of this Mr. Order? He said, yes, it's my friend. And I told him, please, you have to introduce me to him. He said, okay. But he never took me serious. He did not make the introduction. I disturbed him so many times. He said, Victor, you are not ready, blah, 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 blah. Then one day, I told him, if you introduce me to this guy, I'm going to work for you for free. That is, you will not pay me any money. Again, just introduce me to the guy. He said, really? I said, really? And he picked up his phone. He called Goven and told Goven, there's a guy in my office. You need to meet him. He's a very intelligent boy. I think you will like him. And Goven told him, okay, tell him to come to my office tomorrow. And that's how I met Goven. So I worked for another 6 months without
for
getting
free.
paid. Yeah. That was a sacrifice I made.
That was worth the sacrifice.
Yeah. And today I see it's worth it. Was worth it. Then it was not worth it. I felt, how am I going to eat tomorrow? But it's almost like I just knew what I was looking for, that I was willing to make that sacrifice. Like it just felt, right.
And I think this goes back to what I was saying about the push of your instincts to the pull of
yeah,
the
probably.
You just felt this is the right step.
Yeah, it just felt right for some reason that I needed to meet this guy no matter what it cost. So I met Guven. He gave me a couple of projects. I worked on a couple of projects for Guven, so I got paid also, working on a couple of thousands of dollars. Then I started to see the potentials in the relationship with Guven. Guven gave me my first office in Cyprus. There was an office at the top of his building. He gave it to me. I furnished it.
I was there. He took me there.
Yeah, I took it to the office.
I've been in a lot of your milestones. I was never your best man. Can you imagine?
And
nobody even chatted.
Nobody was my marriage. Nobody was my wedding. I was
very lonely wedding.
I was alone in my wedding, but it's understandable. Then I saw the potentials in the relationship with Guven. I knew that Guven is someone that you can work with and it will take you places. So there's a project I did for Guven. It was supposed to pay me $500. It was just $500. It was very small. It was a very small contract. $500. He has not paid me till now, and I did not ask for it. And it's the reason I did not. I left it. Then I remember one day he was saying, "Oh, Victor, I've not paid me," and I told him that Guven, you're too big for me to be disturbing you for $500. I don't need it. Yeah, I just want you. You understand? Let's work together. I think that made him happy. You understand? Because he's a very well-to-do person, very rich man. To see that somebody is not coming for immediate gratification. Somebody wants to know him for who he is, relationship. That made him feel very happy. If I got to a time that he comes to my house at night, and then he enters my house, we drink juice, we talk. Like, it felt like he was stooping low. You understand? Because, like I said, he's a very big man, and he comes to my house, So we had that relationship there. So I remember that day I was feeling sad, and he asked me what's wrong. Then I told him that, I've been trying to start a school, and then it's not working out because this. And he asked me, okay, Victor, what do you want? That's what he asked me. Victor, what do you want? Actually, before then, we were discussing one time in the office, and, I just said it, it just came out that, oh, I'm starting a school. And then it was like he was interested immediately. It was like, school? I said, yeah, I'm starting a school. I said, I have this space in Otakoi. It was like, really? I said, let's go there right now. It was around 8:30 or 9 at night. And we drove to the school. I opened the building. He entered. It was not furnished. It was empty. They were like, Victor, I can furnish this place for you in 2 weeks. I'll furnish it for you. Like, really? He said, yes. That, let's work together. So at that point, he wanted a partnership. But then I had partners. Then I took it back to my partners, the person who had the idea and the other guys. And I told them that, look, there's somebody else, who is interested, that I think we should work with him, but they did not bite. That they were not interested in going over.
That is, and I think that's one of the interesting about this story. Tell me that you actually first went to meet them.
Of course I did. I told them.
Why were they not interested?
I don't know. No, because thing is, I had to put things out the way it was. That look, because this person is a very well-to-do man, he might actually own majority of of the business. I let them know. I told them that he might own majority of the business. That this. So that I think they were not happy with that. They did not want that. That might be one of the reasons. But
also, sometimes when people go into business together, and there are a lot of people, I think everybody's already thinking about when it works. How will this pie be split? So when you're bringing somebody new into the picture and telling the person that this one will take majority, I think it just
that was the problem then. In fact, it caused a lot of problems. I remember one of the partners told me something one time that the way I'm thinking it will set me backwards in life. He told me that life won't go. Because of the whole argument of let's go and partner with this person. And then I felt, what? Because I already started the conversation with Guven, I was not going to let Guven down for anything. I'd worked too hard and sacrificed too much for the relationship to let it go down the drain. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to split my energy into creating 2 schools. I'm going to go create 1 school with Guven and 1 school with you guys. And I did.
Did they know?
They knew.
Okay, they knew
because I took them to the building. I took them to while the whole thing was going on. So the day that we finally decided to do it with Guven, I finally decided to do it with Guven. Guven asked me, "What do you want?" And then the answer I gave him was, "I want to be a millionaire." Right? And he laughed. And he was like, "Okay, if you work with me, you'll get there." That's what he told me. That you'll get there. I said, "Okay, I'm ready. Anything." He said, "Okay, like how do you want to create it?" I told him that I have a location that I have found that I want to rent. Then he said I should show him. I showed him the location. He said, "Oh, he knows the owner of the building." And then in front of me, called the owner of the building. Is that place still available? The person said yes. I said, "Okay, we'd like to come and check it out." And that's how we got this space. He owns a furniture. He owns a furnishing company, so it was easy to furnish.
I think people like Guven, men like Guven, are rare.
Very rare.
And you remember there was a time me and you used to take a stroll to these mountains in Hanscom.
Yeah.
And I remember we would sit down at that top and look down and we'll talk about the things we wanted to do. The funny thing that we are actually doing the things many of the things we say do. It's something you told me. You said, "Jerry, I had a dream, and in that dream, I found myself in a bare ground, my barefooted on this fertile ground, right? And I knew it was Cyprus. I can't remember how dream went, but I knew he said tech is going to boom in this island."
Yeah, actually, I remember that day, and I remember that dream very well. That's one of the dreams I've ever had. I remembered vividly, and it's why I can't give up on Cyprus actually, because in that dream I was barefooted on a fertile ground, loamy soil, Like it was very evident that there was nutrition in this, in this soil. Yeah. And then I looked, I actually, where I remember, I was looking down and then I was like, what is this? And then I looked up and then I just had this, it was this land just endless. It was all loamy soil. It was, you could tell it was fertile ground, but there wasn't any life on it. Like nothing was cultivated on it. Nothing was cultivated. And for some reason, I knew that I'm in Cyprus. And I could tell that I am standing on Cyprus. So when I woke up that day, I said, you know what? Cyprus is fertile. We just have to cultivate. You understand? And that's why that day I told you that I know that tech is going to boom in Cyprus because tech it just had to. So that's something that I never wanted to give up on, and I was not going to give up on at all. And so many people ask me why I left the US. I was in the US before I came to Cyprus. Why I left the US, and I tell them the same thing. That look, the US, is there any new thing you want to create in fact, to create something new in the US right now, you have to be in the 0.1% of the 1%.
Yes, you have to
be able to create something new.
And not even in intelligence, in even where you were born, how you were born.
People you know. You have to, like, if you're looking for a job, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, you work in McDonald's and shit, but
to make a name,
it's almost impossible in the US now. But in Cyprus has this unique opportunity where you can. Although
it's like a convergence of a third world and a first world country.
Yes,
you get.
Although the laws are not always in our favor, but the opportunities are there. You just have to. Yeah. I mean, it requires a lot of fights, but when you are able to pass through that, then it's all sunshine and rainbows from there. So yeah, I was never going to give up on Cyprus, and the school is just. I think the school is just the beginning, actually. In terms of what is yet to be achieved or what we are going to achieve in Cyprus, definitely. And I really appreciate Guven, really appreciate him. It's one of the few people in Cyprus that took me serious, like listened to me and I was like, Victor, I believe in you. And
that's why I said it's very,
I'm going to do this for you. And then I think that I had this idea, although the idea of the school itself was not mine, but when I keyed into the idea, it started to grow in my head and my mind, things I want to do, and how I can use it to also help the general community of international students in Cyprus. Yeah, and Governor also believed that so much so that he left the whole running to me. He left me to be I'm the main decision maker in the school. I decide the curriculums, the that, everything in the school. I decide the school fees myself, and I really appreciate. I really love that. Really appreciate that. Creating the school itself was, it took a lot of work. I remember when we were to submit a system to the ministry, the immigration department, where I did an all-nighter. Now, thing is, you see something, for something to be successful, each of the partners or every partner in that whole setting need to be able to work on the same level of emergency. Right? Now, Guven was somebody that, for some reason, he just had that emergency. He got things done like this. And you'd actually expect that the opposite to be the case because he's a very busy man. But he was able to get that done. And, I felt, culture is contagious, very contagious. If you are not infected by the culture of where you are working, then something is wrong with you and you need help. Seek help. Seek a therapist. Something. But culture is contagious.
Definitely.
So that if you're working with a group of people and there's a particular way they do their things, all right, they wake up around this time, they get to working, you will get infected actually.
Yeah,
you definitely will get infected. And that's what happened between me and Gavin. I saw the way he was putting in the energy and I felt, I'm not going to be left behind.
To match this energy.
Nah, you're not going to outwork me. I'm going to get this done also. So we're to submit a program to the Ministry of Education for the immigration system. You build it yourself and integrate with the APIs of the ministry. And then I got the APIs on a Friday. Gavin gave me a flash drive on a Friday. And I told him we're going to submit the system on a Monday. So I had Friday to read the documentation, which was in Turkish, by the way. I had Saturday and Sunday to plan out how this shit was going to be done, and Monday to submit. And I got it done. I built a whole system, a whole immigration system within,
No one can actually say that you do not deserve. At least, I mean, with the amount of work you put in.
Yeah.
Because I remember I think I came to your office. Was it that Monday? Was it the Monday submitted I came to your office? I knew you were working on it actively. Oh, I think you already. Are you already submitted by then?
No, actually, I built two systems. Actually,
Okay.
I built two. There was one that was submitted that they accepted, but then when they accepted, I just, I just did not like it.
So you
And I
had
was like,
to
I'll build
rebuild.
it again.
Okay, okay, okay.
and, I built it again in
That's
24
brilliant.
hours this
Yeah.
time. I did it in 24
Yeah.
hours. And I also did it overnight. Like, I did not sleep and I built it. Yeah.
Okay. So let's come to the last segment of this podcast. And which was very special. This segment is very special to me because it's also very personal.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you decide to marry? I mean, right now you are in your hot boy season. We are taking I'm the only one that's going to enjoy this season of my life.
Look,
Like, what happened?
and first of all, the person who I was in a relationship with, or the person who I am in a relationship with, was someone that I knew that I just wanted to be with. That's one part of it. I mean, there are different reasons, right?
You say you just wanted to be with. What do you mean by?
It just it just felt right. It just felt like, okay, this. No, because look, because I'm somebody that did not grow up with a father. You understand? There's something I'm looking for in, or there's something I want to have, or there's something I want my children to have, basically. And this person who I was seeing, I was in a relationship with, she just had it. Like she just had it. You just know that, okay, this person is going to be a very awesome mother and very awesome wife. And then thing is, so my dad, I think actually there wasn't an official autopsy, but according to what I heard, he died of either a cardiac arrest or an hypertension heart attack or something like that. And it's hereditary. I have the same ailment. I'm very hypertensive. So, I've been feeling, I don't want to pass when my children are young. So, that's made me want to get married very early and, have kids early and, and get out of the way. But then again, all the people who I admired in life, all the people I looked forward to, there were people that were married, people that were in very strong relationships. And, I felt, okay, maybe there's something in getting married that changes the way you view life, and changes the way you prioritize things so much so that it helps you to achieve the things you want to achieve.
True.
Because the moment you get married, there are fewer decisions. Okay, for example, right now, if I were not married, okay, I'm making decisions on, which girl am I going to talk to today or meet tomorrow. Now I don't have to make those decisions because I don't have to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? So some things just become secondary or tertiary, and you can focus on the primary things. The primary things are I'm building my business, and my business will build my family, or I'm building my family will be my business.
The Bible says something: he who finds a wife finds a good thing.
Yeah, if you find a good wife, you find a good thing.
Favor from the Lord.
Yes.
I think favor. Marvel came with a lot of favor.
Yes, actually. So thing is, I don't think that is right in terms of, or in a spiritual sense. I think that is right in a psychological sense. Because when you get married, there is a responsibility that it's a self-imposed, it's a self-imposed responsibility. I know, okay, I'm responsible for someone and I might be responsible for a family in the future. Just the knowledge of that imminent responsibility puts you in a state of mind where you are forced to develop, you are forced to grow. You just can't, just can't
definitely
not grow. You are forced to grow. And then even in terms of business, actually, and I've seen this to be the case, people take you more serious actually when you have a ring on your finger. Because no, actually, it's really the case. If you go to a business meeting and you have a ring on your finger, people take you more seriously because because it shows that you are responsible. You understand? Because people want to work with people that are responsible. People want to do business with people that are responsible. The fact that you are married means you have a responsibility. You're a responsible person. Okay, I think you're somebody I might want to do business with. That might be a fleeting notion, but it's something I've come to realize that actually might be the case, or usually is the case in most instances, right? So I felt like I'm going to just go ahead and do it, and I just focus. Honestly, there's something I want for myself, and I just had to get married to get it.
And when I think of Mabe, she's a fighter. And I think to me, the one quality I saw in her that I don't think I've seen is like yet, or maybe I've seen, I'm just blind. But the one thing about her was, aside the fact that she's a fighter, she does not leave no matter what happens.
Here's the thing. Marvin is a very, is he unagreeable? Disagreeable person. I don't know if disagreeable, unagreeable. Basically, she's not agreeable. I'm very agreeable.
Very.
Yeah. But she's not agreeable. And that keeps me in check, actually. It keeps me in check a lot. And also vice versa. I keep her in check with my...
I mean, even when you guys had issues, she always came back. That thing was so confusing to me at that point.
I mean, look, you're talking about Victor.
No, because it's almost like as if she knew before you. That's how it felt like as if she knew before you.
Yes, actually, you know that I actually asked her one time that why did you accept to meet with me? Because we met in a very funny way. It was very funny. It was on Instagram. I was not a serious boy then also, but I saw her on Instagram, and I sent her a follow request and she accepted. And I was like, it's done. It's done. She accepted the follow request and I sent her a message and we started chatting. Then, as we got to talk, I started realizing that there were other boys that she had kept on, on his coming. She had kept on, D&D. They are just there, they are chatting with themselves in a DM. And then I asked her, why did you respond to mine? Because it felt like, so why did she reply me? Because then I could tell that she had no interest in going into a relationship. She had no interest in talking to anybody because she had just come out of a relationship before, I think some months or maybe a year prior. So she had no interest at all to talk to anybody. If you check her DM, there were guys in her DMs, but then she responded to me. And then I asked her why. And then she told me that she does not know that when she checked my account, she just felt, I might as well just respond to him. And she responded to me. And, I think it's my charm or something. I don't know. But I
it's a fuck up. I won't lie to you. So before we close, let's talk about friendships for a second.
Yeah.
Do you remember the time we sat down in front of your apartment one night like that?
Yes.
You said something. You said, I need to stop comparing myself with the rest of you guys. I mean, you guys have a family.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? Like, basically, we didn't have that chip on our shoulder like you did, or like you do, or did. I don't think you have the chip anymore, but okay. And I think I said something about friendship that day. Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I remember how I felt that day. Actually, look, sometimes I have this arguments with, not argument. I have this dialogue with my wife sometimes where she compare. I hate people comparing me to people. Oh, it irritates me so much. I don't like it because of the things I have gone through. I feel like you can't compare me to anybody. There are people who have gone through worse, and you definitely can't compare them to anybody. Everybody has their own stories. And dropping out and everything, I had to make sure I did not compare myself to anybody, because if I had compared myself to, say, Michael and Godwin, then probably would have fallen into this deep depression and I don't know, because it was so bad. Yeah. You understand? So I learned not to compare myself to anybody. And there are some times where things happen. Thing is, in as much as we try to disguise it, we at some point would be envious of each other. That's something that happens. In as much as we try to disguise.
Envious, I would say we're always watching each other. And that helps us do some self-reflection.
Yes, exactly. And I've had to do a lot of self-reflection actually, because there's sometimes, take Michael for example. There's sometimes he would have this nice breakthrough. Something happens and all. And I'll just be like, I can't compare myself to Michael. Michael has it different from that. I would not say that I have it worse, than anybody in the whole friend group. I would not say. I would just say I had it bad, and I know that. I had it bad, because unlike every other person, I did not have this support, this external support, like in terms of family. Nah, that wasn't there for me at all. So,
aside even financial, even emotional, too.
oh, even actually, yes, even emotion. The thing is, I have this problem where I cannot communicate my emotions. I don't know how to do that. So, and I don't even like it. I think it's a response for something, but that's a topic for another day. But anyway, so I never wanted to compare myself to anybody. I did not compare myself to anybody. I always saw myself on a different path, not on a different level, on a different path.
Definitely.
You understand? I saw my path as very rugged terrain, right? And I've accepted that my path is a very rugged terrain. I have a lot of responsibilities on my shoulder, both from my immediate family. Wait, my wife, is that my immediate family? Or my brother and sister?
I think they get the concept. Continue.
Yeah. But my families, I feel like I have this responsibility, and and I have to create this scale of preference, opportunity cost. I have to prioritize things the way that no other person in the friend group has to prioritize. You understand? I have to prioritize that way. You understand? My mom, I have to take care of my mom the way that no other person has to. I have to take care of my family the way that no other person has to, and there was a time, back in the days where say Michael, for example, would have a problem with fees, and he'd be able to get help. You understand? I could not get help because who would I get help from? That's why I did not compare myself to anybody. It would have been a very nasty, state of mind.
It's something I noticed also for a while. I don't know. I want to just speak about that. Then we can close. For some reason, you always just come around, right? I feel like even despite your, now you've met more people because of how things have unfolded for you, right? But it's as if coming back to this circle just reminds you of yourself. Like, just, I don't know if I dig you. I'm trying to explain. I know that you just come back, just want to eat food. I know that you're not hungry, bro. You're not hungry, but when you come around, I'm like, a part of me just gets that peace that okay, yeah, this is his home. This is his people.
Yeah, I mean, look, though I did something one day. I went to Nearest, the school I dropped out from, and I went to the class, the class that I had my last class. I went there and I sat down on the seat I was. It was last month or 2 months ago I did this, and then I was just there to relive the moment of my last day in school. Sometimes you just have to take yourself back there to remind yourself of why you do the things you do. And the reason why I come back here, in as much as I might try to disguise it, I'm human, right? I'm a hard guy, but yeah, I'm human. I still need to.
This is a very stupid joke.
No, don't say very stupid thing. I still need to know that I have people. There's still that need for that. Of course, I'm not hungry. I just come here to find food, but I don't need it. But just come here to know that you'd realize that on Sunday I invited Zubelu and Michael, because I just wanted people around. It gets lonely sometimes. Sometimes it gets lonely. I have a wife, but there's some space that your wife does not feel, like she cannot feel, that only friends can, because that's a different type of relationship and entirely. So that is very much needed. I'm not a robot, right? But I try to be one. I try to be a robot.
Beautiful.
Because I try to focus on.
Look at the camera. Say one thing. You want the world to know. I'm close.
Something I want the world to know.
Yeah.
Life is the greatest form of creation. Experience is the greatest form of life. And death is what makes it all worth it.
That was sad. Very sad. But that was also wise. Thank you so much, Bishop.